Get the Intel, the podcast meant for those of us trying to find out what the hell is going on in the field. Here we discuss tools, techniques, and approaches that you can implement to streamline operations and let you focus on your craft.
Hello, Chad Gill here. I'm the host of the Get the Intel podcast, where I talk with leaders in contracting, management, and really anyone helping us do business better. This episode is brought to you by Lamon & Coaching. Lamon is a coaching and remote personnel company with a focus on contractors in and around construction. We not only help with proposing solutions and methods, but implementing them in your business as well. After all, good ideas are not useful until they're implemented. We're also sponsored by Workforce Recon. Their app Field Recon is a project tracking software that connects the office to the field crews. Built with a field-first mentality, Recon was developed by contractors for contractors, and it includes your CRM, time tracking, messaging, job documentation, and scheduling in one place. So if you're tired of finding out what happened days later, check us out on workforcerecon.com and see your operations in real time. So joining me today is Steve Jacobs, the owner of Nature's Designs Landscaping, a design, build, and maintenance firm for the past 40 years that has been serving the San Diego County residential market. Steve earned his landscape contractor's license in 1988 and expanded it to include swimming pool and spa installation in 2006, then general contracting in 2011. He earned a degree in horticulture from Cal Poly Pomona and is certified as an arborist, water manager, landscape professional, irrigation contractor, and a qualified water efficient landscaper. Steve, that's a lot of paperwork, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no kidding. That is a series of certifications right there. So I mean, sometimes we interview people on here and they're like, so how did you get into business? Like, well, I was driving a bus, and so now I'm a concrete contractor. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Yours is very logical, and maybe there's a tail to it, but I mean, it makes sense. It's like, landscape, then pool and spa, then general contracting. It seems to just keep taking on more and more scope of the project.
Yeah, it's definitely, of course, being older, you get a chance to have more of these opportunities for certification and education. It really started with my father. He grew up in the Bronx in New York and didn't want to raise his kids on the street like he was raised. So he moved out to the West Coast, out into the country. I grew up on 2 acres of land and spent most of my time outside working in my garden and, just waiting till, not really waiting, but when my mother rang the bell to come up for dinner because it was dark, that's when I went inside. So I've always enjoyed being outside, working with my hands, fixing things, and it all just kind of came together. I first got a degree in automotive technology, and then, no, that sounds kind of a weird transition, but I then started studying horticulture and really got involved with that. I always liked working with my garden. So it just seemed kind of natural to keep going, and I started my business the year I started college and haven't looked back since.
Yeah, no, I grew up on a farm myself, and then I went into mechanical engineering, because if you grow up on a farm or you're raising anything, you're going to have to learn how to fix equipment. It's just everything breaks.
That's right.
And farming is not so lucrative that you're going to pay somebody to fix it. So probably very similar for you.
I use it almost every day. I'm working on my own equipment, my own vehicles. It gives me a real sense of satisfaction because it's, unlike problems in business that can take weeks, years, months, whatever to fix, you can fix a truck or a tractor in an hour or two, something that wasn't working and now it is. And so that's very satisfying to have that person in the world. So nice to have a quick response in a repair like that.
Oh, for sure. Now, so San Diego, how do you even water your plants? I mean, I feel like that is a hard to come by item there.
Yes, it's our biggest scarcity is water. We average about 10 inches a year if we're lucky. We've had a lot of years in the recent past where we had much less than that. So we have to be very careful about how we use water, what plants we install, how we irrigate them. The biggest challenge is most people don't have the background to really know what the plant water requirement is. It takes quite a lot of knowledge, and most people are guessing. And so we help our clients with water management on a regular basis, especially if you have a large property. You can use quite a bit of water. My water bill at my property is we spend more on water than food, just to give you an idea. And I have a very efficient system and very drought tolerant plants. So it doesn't take much around here to have a big water bill.
Apparently. No, it's interesting. I interviewed Dave Book with Pave Drain. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It's a concrete paver, but they're big about, I learned more than I had ever anticipated I would learn, but where they're capturing stormwater, holding it for them. He was trying to make sure that they weren't overwhelming stream beds and creeks and stuff by dumping, acres and acres of water on a stream that was only meant to carry a little. But for you, it's about capturing so you can distribute it back, I guess. Do you do a lot of recapture of water for irrigation, or how does that work?
Yeah, actually we do. We have a lot of rules around here in Southern California about stormwater runoff. They want to eliminate it. In the old days, we used to take every excess amount of water and drain it off the property. And now we do the opposite. We try to catch every bit of rainwater and let it go back into the property, soak into the ground. Really, soil is the best filter in the world for water. So once it goes down into the ground, eventually gets into the groundwater system, that is the purest water. That we're not just dumping into the street and then it ends up in our oceans, and it takes along everything that's in the street with it. So then we have closures of our local beaches, which nobody likes that. You go into Southern California, you want to be able to jump in the water and enjoy the ocean, even if it is a little cold.
No, that's perfect. No, I've spent some time in San Diego. It is beautiful. I don't think there's much use for a weatherman in San Diego. I mean, you guys should have the first AI weatherman ever, because it's like you swing 4 degrees and it's going to rain barely ever.
The best job. You can be pretty much say it's warm and sunny, and you're going to be right the majority of the time and get paid lots of money. It's a good job to have a weatherman. I would like that job.
We both might have missed the boat on that. So a lot of times when we're interviewing folks, we'll ask them, you're dealing with, I want to say that high-end residential, but, I think when you say San Diego residential, everything is high-end compared to where we are. But I would think that you run into some very spectacular situations. And we always just do you have unique ways of handling things? Like I was telling you earlier about we have a gentleman that he would post up frequently, ask questions about the scope of work they were doing, just so homeowners feel more at ease and those kind of things. What do you find that you do that you might be a little different?
I just finished a swimming pool installation with landscaping and a water feature, where the client had interviewed 3 previous contractors that said he couldn't put a pool where he has one today because we figured out a way to do it. It was had to be hand dug, over 1,000 wheelbarrow loads of soil we had to move out of there manually and dig. Anything's possible. I really believe that, as long as you put your mind to it, and that's what we're really good at, is kind of jumping into really complicated or difficult projects. My motto is, somebody tells me no, or if they say I can't do something, I'm going to find out a way to do it.
No, that makes total sense. Yeah, and like I said, it's funny because you talk about swimming pools. It's warm, it's sunny, but then again, there's a lack of water. That's got to be a challenge. I'm sure it's a challenge in and of itself.
Absolutely. Most of the pools that we put in automatic covers, because that's really the biggest loss of water is through evaporation. It's also the biggest loss of heat energy. So when water evaporates, it costs a lot of money to heat a pool, and so we want to conserve as much of that as possible. Definitely pools use water, but you can keep it to a minimum as long as you have it covered. That really makes a huge difference.
Wow. Yeah, and I think most people, I grew up putting in swimming pools with my dad. I was a swimming pool contractor, and you're right. If you have an automatic cover and you keep it closed, you will just not use a lot of chemicals, and you'll be netting out a lot fewer leaves too.
Yeah, it definitely keeps the maintenance down. It's kind of a challenge because swimming pool is also water. So, we have clients that will cover it during the night. That also saves a lot of heat loss, so that the water's still nice and warm the next day. And we look for other areas to conserve water, especially in the landscape, proper water management. I've learned a lot through my landscape association, the California Landscape Contractors Association. I've been a member there for over 30 years, and it's been a huge help in me running my businesses, working with other professionals in the industry and getting all kinds of tips on how to better run your business and work with your clients.
No, yeah, I think associations are key. I mean, why have to go and make all the mistakes yourself when you can have a group of friends that'll tell you ones to avoid?
You bet. I wouldn't be where I was today without that association. It's really helped me. It used to be me asking all the questions, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, a few years back, there's people asking me questions, and I thought, what the heck happened here? And then I looked in the mirror and realized, yeah, now I'm one of the older guys, and it wasn't that way before. I started in this industry when I was 20, well, less than 20, probably 17, and then started my own business when I was 21.
Man, that is that's starting a business is tough. 21 doing it, that would be even tougher, I think.
Well, I found it not to be too bad because at 21, I didn't have any obligations.
There's a benefit to having nothing to lose.
Yeah, there you go. And I actually, when I was graduating university, I spoke with my father about it. And there was these people getting these great jobs, maybe a golf course superintendent right out of college. Back then, very good pay. And it was very tempting because I was just scratching the surface, trying to make ends meet and starting a new business, paying for college. And my father explained to me, he says, look, if you're going to start your own business, this might be the best time because you don't have a spouse, a mortgage, car payment, all these things that will eventually come. And he was right. So that way you can put all your energy into your business. And if it fails, okay, not a big deal. If you've got all of these other obligations and then your business fails, that to me would be a lot harder.
That's a bigger deal for sure. So I looked when I was looking at your website, firescaping. So I was trying to decide, I didn't know whether that means you're creating fire elements or you're having the landscape around potential fires.
It's the latter. We keep that in mind. Really, here in San Diego, what are our big problems? Earthquakes are not an issue here. If we feel an earthquake, it's because it happened up in LA or out in the desert or in San Francisco. And if we feel it, of course, I've got a house here in Escondido. It's 120 years old. And I figured if it survived all these years, all these earthquakes, we don't have too much to worry about here. Our biggest issue is traffic and fires. Really, that's about it. We don't have really much else to be concerned with other than, of course, the cost of living out here is pretty crazy. So I've taught a few seminars on fire safety and, making sure that your property is accessible by the fire department, that they can find your property, that the house is visible, that there's, pathways wide enough for them to get around, not to stack firewood up against your home. Big mistake a lot of people make. We get these firestorms where the fire really creates its own weather and creates incredible winds that blow embers up into your attic, and most houses burn down because embers go into the attic, burn the house down from the inside out. So it's really important that all the vents are screened and that you've done your best to minimize the amount of fuel around your property and to give the firefighters a chance to save your home.
Yeah, I would not have. That's interesting. So yeah, so as the fire, I guess it just heats up the air, and the air is trying to get out of there, and that creates winds. Yeah,
incredible winds. I mean, there's been videos. It looks like a tornado, where the flames are just whipping around in a big funnel cloud, and really the big danger here is those embers are just get lifted up and thrown into the air, and those embers are what catch fires. Catch trees in your home and other structures on fire. It's just these embers can fly through the air a mile or two away and catch something on fire. So it's really important to prepare. The day that it happens, it's too late. You can't really do anything then. It's all ahead of time, proper landscaping, design, not too thick of and the type of plant material. Some plant material is more combustible than others. Some have a lot of oils in the wood and the sap. And so you really got to be using your head when you're designing.
That's interesting. I mean, that's a different challenge than you would think. I mean, in Maine, they're worried about snow load, and they are. Right. You probably don't have to. You don't sweat that too awful much.
No, I don't even own a snowblower, but if I want to go up to the snow, it's only 2 hours away. I can go play up in the snow, but yeah, it's a whole nother ball game. That's the other thing with landscaping in San Diego is it's 24/7 all year long. We don't have a season where we don't landscape. Probably the toughest time is in the middle of the summer. Because it gets so hot and dry that you can lose plant material if you get really stressed out. So we plant with the soil doesn't suck the water right out of the plant. It's really important to keep things wet and healthy during establishment period. So that's instead of snow, that's what we deal with is some dry heat once in a while.
There you go. Well, man, this has been terrific. I mean, it's always interesting to hear about a different business in a different area. And sounds like, associations and that kind of thing have played a big part in your education. And then now you teach as well. You're teaching in college courses, right?
Right. I'm lucky to have the opportunity to teach at Cuyamaca College in San Diego. I teach a class called Landscape Contracting. And to describe what that is, because most people don't realize what it is specifically, it's not so much how to do the work, it's more of how to start and run a small business. I educate the students on what is overhead, how to put an estimate together, how to sell, all the employee laws. I think in California, we've got more laws than all the other states combined. It's pretty crazy out here. And so there's a lot to learn. To stay within the rules, and it's a lot of information in a very short period, but I really find it rewarding to pass on the information I've learned over the years to these students that are eager to learn.
What is the thing you find when you're teaching it to the students that is the most shocking to them as far as the business side of it?
I would say that some of the stories of project problems that I bring to the course, I think the students, they're shocked by it, but they really appreciate hearing what can actually happen, the real world situations, very demanding clients, some, very unreasonable at times, and how to handle it. I even have a speaker come in to teach students how to listen. Because I think listening is a huge part of contracting, that if we truly learn how to listen, then we're going to get ourselves out of a lot of sticky situations. And truly listening means not having anything going on in your head and trying to understand exactly what the client is concerned about, what their issues are, and then to repeat back what you heard. It's super effective. And I think my students get a lot out of that, because it's not just your clients, it's your spouse, your kids. You have these different relationships in your life. And if you're a really good listener, life gets a lot easier.
That's interesting. That is a great thing. I mean, how do you teach somebody how to listen? So you said you bring a speaker in that kind of specializes in that?
Yeah. It's actually, he's really good at it over the years. What he does is he gets two students that have a relationship outside the classroom. He puts them in chairs, faces them towards each other. And then he has the one student who feels that they haven't been heard properly say whatever it is that they want to say. And then he has the other student that's facing the student repeat back what they heard. And you would be astonished at how often it's nothing of what the other person was trying to communicate. And what he does is he has them go back and forth a few times until they're on the same page. And the students get to watch this because they're just observers, the rest of the class. And they are amazed when they watch it, because there it is fellow students, people they know that are both speaking English, but not really truly listening. And it takes practice. So when this exercise is really helpful, where one person speaks, the other person responds, then the person who spoke says, hey, were you heard properly? Did that person understand you? And often the answer is no. And so then they try it again, and maybe say it in a slightly different way. It's truly amazing. And it's helped me in so many situations with subcontractors, clients, employees, service providers of all kinds, suppliers. It's just a great way to get through the world a lot easier with a lot less work. Is by truly learning how to listen. It's not always what the person says, it's what they mean. And you have to extract what the meaning is, not so much the words.
There are a lot of lawsuits out there about people delivering what was asked rather than what was meant.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so I don't think there's a contractor in the world that doesn't know or hasn't been a part of that experience. This is what you asked for. Yeah, but that's not what I meant. This is going to go poorly. But to get that out up front, much better plan.
You bet. Once I put on a seminar for my landscape association. It was titled "How to Deal with Difficult Clients," and I spent probably 80% of the course talking about how to listen. It's the most effective tool for really a challenging client, and then to respond in a positive way. It's amazing what can happen once people feel they've been heard. It's a very powerful tool.
Wow, that's great. So if that broke up a little bit, it's pretty much 80% of the problem in dealing with a difficult client is you listening to them well.
Right. Once I learned not to argue and to listen, and even in true listening, repeating back what they said doesn't mean you agree with what they're saying. You're just letting them know that you heard them. And this is just an amazingly effective tool to lower the tension level in a room, and actually then be able to have a conversation and work things out.
Well, hey, that is solid advice. I'm not sure anybody's thrilled to be riding on a listen to a podcast saying, most of your problems are because you don't listen well, but it may well be the case.
I'll tell you, when I'm having a problem, the first thing I do is look in the mirror and figure out what can I do differently to make this problem go away.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I really appreciate it. Steve, this has been great. Good luck with it. I'm jealous of the weather, but not the power bill, and apparently not the water bill either. No, I've logged some time there in San Onofre working in the nuclear plant there. So beautiful, beautiful area, beautiful beaches. And, thanks a lot. And look forward to kind of watching more and seeing some more of the great portfolios. So if you haven't been on his website, check it out. There are some beautiful installations there that'll just make you a little more angry at San Diego for having it all.
Well, thank you, Chad. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, and nice to get to know you a little bit better, and that you have a great podcast here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Get the Intel. We'll see you next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.